Okay, I'm Joseph, aka Wingbro. I help men solve the problem of how to get dates, how to get a hot, sexy, younger woman in 2025. In the era of apps which discriminate against men over 30 and under 6 foot, what are you supposed to do if you're a 5'7" bald 40-year-old like me? What are you supposed to do? The transformation I help guys with is to go from apps and clubs to daytime cold approach. That is where I generate my leads. By leads, I mean dates, I mean girls in my life on an ongoing basis. And I help guys to move over to the same format of dating. Obviously, daytime approach is somewhat daunting. People don't know what to do. They're also afraid of the potential social awkwardness, social difficulty of it. So I help guys with that via a 3-day immersion program. That is my flagship program. You get 3 days of immersive experience. You will do more approach than you've ever done any time in your life by far. You'll get expert feedback from me. I run the world's only peer-reviewed cold approach system, which has been tried and tested by myself and also many other guys as well. So the program and the map that you get when you work with me is step by step. So first we do A, then we do B, then we do C, then we do D, and when we go for the close, we go like this. Okay, so it's very structured, it's very straightforward, and highly effective. I've had 2 autistic guys on my program who got laid. One of them was a virgin. I've had guys come in who've never done any approach before, and on the first day they're closing like beasts. I've had a guy kissing a girl in the street from an approach he did out in Belgrade as well. So the results are there. The results are spectacular. If you've got the wherewithal to do it, a cold approach is not for everybody. You do have to have you have to be a little bit go-getting, but at the same time, it's not who you think is going to be good at cold approach. Sometimes there is. It's often just the guys who are willing just to go in there, keep getting after it. It's not always, the Chad, the alpha male types. It's not always the case. Okay, it's really just are you willing to get yourself in there? And yeah, what can I say? It changed my life. I did 10 years in the club scene, had lots of girlfriends through that. I was an introverted intellectual professional until my mid-20s, and then I decided I had some health problems, and after that I decided I wanted to focus on my personal life and my social life, and I wanted to focus on my hobbies as well, because up to that point I've been a workaholic, and it was a real health scare. So I went down the route of going to clubs, learning dance, learning salsa, kizomba, bachata, getting girlfriends, and having a complete revolution in my life outlook. And this is in my 20s. I realized everything I've been taught about women was complete garbage, equality, all that nonsense, complete garbage, and it really holds you back in relationships. It's okay for things like, they can have a bank account, they can have a job, but in relationships, this is an awful way to conduct your relationship. It just doesn't work. So I did a lot of that learning in my 20s, and then when I hit 30, I started my own club promotion. I had the largest Latin music club promotion in the north of the UK, probably in the UK, to be honest, but I just say the north just because London's a big city. There may have been someone with a bigger promotion than me. I ran that for 4 years. Obviously, I'm deep at that point into the whole club scene, the whole club network, and yeah, since then, since 34, I'm 40 now, I've been living an international lifestyle, left the promotion behind and lived an international lifestyle. So I've lived all over the world. I've lived in 12 countries, and I've traveled to, I don't actually know how many I've traveled to, but I've lived in 12 countries, including Brazil, Dominican Republic, Italy, France, Spain, Portugal, Romania, Serbia, Bosnia, Turkey, Greece, North Macedonia. I don't know where else. There's probably 1 or 2 others in there as well. UK, obviously. And so I've done this in many different countries. So I know basically I know what works where for the most part. And mostly cold approach works everywhere, which is great. Which is great. There are some inflections to it, but it's very very universal as far as this goes. And I've been coaching guys for the last year with spectacular results. To be honest, with spectacular results. So today, with that introduction, today I'm going to talk about how to turn a woman on. How to turn a woman on. So this is not so much a cold approach. It's not so much a cold approach video, but I will start off with the cold approach stuff. So how to actually excite the woman in your approach. Well, the first thing you should know is by going in for the approach straight away to begin with, you're already creating a peak of excitement and a peak of interest just by going over, stopping the girl in the street or in the mall or in the park, and going over and paying her a bold compliment. That is already creating a little peak of dopamine and excitement or curiosity. In the approach itself, there are a couple of things you could do in the approach itself. Let me just caveat what I'm about to say. The first thing you need to know in the approach is sometimes with an approach, the girl needs to feel safe. So you do need to communicate, as well as that boldness, you also need to communicate safety as well. So that basically means you don't want to be too overbearing and too threatening, too domineering on that original approach. It's got to be confident and kind of confident and cocky, but also you don't want to. Well, it depends on the girl. You don't want to go intimidating. You don't want to go intimidating in that first few moments. So everything I'm about to say, just bear that in mind. The girl has to know that she's safe, and most of the time she will do, but sometimes guys can go a bit too aggressive on the open. But you go over, you give the girl a bold compliment. That in of itself is already spiking her. Two things you can do in the interaction itself. Well, three things you can do. One of them is just eye contact. That's the most basic one. And up your level of eye contact, the level you think you need, up it, staring, have those uncomfortable long eye contact, scenarios where you're looking at the girl. You have an awkward silence there. Do that. That actually spikes tension, and they actually like it. They actually like it. They respond to it anyway. So strong eye contact, and also letting silences into the conversation as well. Don't always. I can be guilty of this sometimes. I worry if I let the silence go too much, the girl would just sort of walk off, which can happen, to be fair. So I can sometimes talk a little bit too much. I can fill those silences, which is not always a good thing. So strong eye contact, let the silence do the work sometimes. Next one is playfully teasing the girl as well. Playfully teasing the girl. That always works. It always works, especially with girls who are quite spirited. That just works a treat. So playfully teasing the girl, that works very well. And then also some physical proximity as well. That communicates. If you come in physically closer to the girl as well, it communicates intent and intention. And there's something there. So those would be three things you could do in the approach. Technical things you can do: eye contact, playfully teasing, and proximity. So take that to the bank. Go and incorporate those into your approach. Now, the next thing I'll say on this though is you don't have to turn the girl on in the approach to get the result. You don't have to. You can do. It can be great, but you don't have to. The main thing on the approach is to get the girl's contact. That's the main thing, is for her to know your intentions and for you to get the girl's contact. That's the main thing you need to do on the approach itself. And yeah, I'd say many of my sets where I've actually got the girl's contact and I've ended up going out dating the girl, many of those sets have not been spectacularly seductive at all. So the stuff I've just said, that's kind of high level stuff. Maybe if you're out on a hot summer's day and you're out, in the parks, in the streets, and there's a bit of a sultry environment. Bring some of that in. Bring some of that in, the physical proximity and so on. But you don't have to. You don't have to really do too much. To be honest, the main thing is you go over and you go for the girl's contact. So I'm just going to share this video with. I'm just going to share this live with some friends. It's going to be quite a short live today, but I'm going to share it with some friends. Just give me 1 second. And just as a side point, while I'm on the topic of just the initial approach, always be aware that almost anything can happen on these approaches as well. I was in a salsa class yesterday, just from a girl that I met in the street the day before, dressed as a Yeti, believe it or not, which is pretty insane. And she's a salsa teacher, so she invited me to a class the following day, and I was like, yeah, hell yeah. So I got a free, so just reconnecting here. So yeah, so I got a free salsa class yesterday, which was pretty awesome, to be honest with you. So yeah, there are many ancillary benefits to daytime approach. You make new friends, you get new opportunities, your confidence absolutely skyrockets. So in terms of other points about how to, my other phone's dying here. My Samsung's dying. Come on, I thought you guys were supposed to be, peak engineers. So other points about turning a woman on. Some of them are basically. Let's also talk about how you can turn a woman off. Let's just start with that, because actually the male energy in of itself is exciting to women. Okay, the male energy in of itself is exciting to women. So let's just talk about, to begin with, how you can actually fuck that up. How you can fuck that up. One of the things that happens is guys turn the woman off, and the woman won't really know why. They'll go with, they have like no ability to analyze their own attraction at all. But all they will go with will just be, it just didn't feel exciting or something. That's all they'll go with. So things you can do that can turn the woman off. Right, let's get into this. These are mistakes. Don't fuck, especially early on, especially if the girl's on the fence with you. She's interested, but like she's not all in. Which is most girls most of the time is sort of like interested, and then you kind of have to, and then they just sort of as long as you keep slowly moving forward, sometimes quickly, but moving forward, usually things are okay. But there's things you can do that can turn the girl off. So let's just talk about that quickly. Number one thing you do not want to be doing is supplicating permission-seeking behavior. Supplicating permission-seeking behavior is the number one turn-off for women. And this is really what a shit test is. A shit test is when a woman throws something at you to try to test your sense of reality. Is this guy actually got any minerals? Is he strong? So she might ask you to do something that's unreasonable or stupid. And the correct response there is to laugh at her. Yeah. The correct response to most things with women, most requests, is to laugh at them. Yeah. There you go. Equality out the window. Sue me. That's the correct response. Most of the things they will say to you will just be nonsense. Yeah. Obviously, not all of them. Yeah. But you need to know which is which, right? You need to know which is which. So it was a girl the other day asking me to cook for her. And it was just a funny thing to me. I was like, yeah, that's absolutely fine. Yeah. You can pay for my Uber. You can pay for the ingredients. You can pay for my date. I can't wait. You can pay for the wine. I'm going to make you get a bottle of champagne. So just little silly things like that, right? But any supplicating behavior, any permission seeking, if you want to pull the girl, go to pull her. If you want to take the girl and pin her against the wall, do that. Yeah. Don't ask permission to do it. Don't ask permission to do it. One thing you can do is with escalation. So with sexual escalation, believe it or not, I do virtually nothing to sexually escalate with women on dates. Virtually nothing. I'm not trying to hold their hand. I'm not trying to put my hands through their hair or anything on a first date. I'm not really doing that much in the majority of cases. There's some exceptions to it, but in the majority of cases, I'm not really doing anything. So you might look at it and go, this is a bit platonic. What's going on here? I'm doing the right stuff still, conversationally, with eye contact. I'm just taking the piss out of the woman and amusing myself. Really, my escalation is happening when the girl comes back to my place. It's really that simple. If the girl's back in your place, it's on, right? Then you just pull her, you just kiss her at some point. She either goes with it or she doesn't, and she's going with it. If she's come to your place, she's going with it. If I do escalate on a date, quite often I use dance to do that. I'm out in the tropics, so it just makes sense. If I know that it's like, for example, there's a first date I've been on with a girl who's it's like I've dated a few virgins. It's like you're not banging them on the first date, obviously. So with those girls, usually I will just do the normal, at some point take them by the hands, at some point kiss them. Sometimes not on the first date even though. Definitely on the second date. Yeah, on the second date you want to get some actual escalation in. Like even if let's say the girl was a virgin, you'd want to be kissing them and like feeling them up, their tits and stuff on the second date. But you don't have to on the first date. I don't know what every guy's got like a lot of guys have got this weird rush where it's like the goal is to get laid in the fastest possible unit of time. When it doesn't really make sense. I think most guys, if they could get laid in like 90 seconds, they actually wouldn't be able to do it anyway. So I don't think going on to a second date is any issue at all. It can happen on a first date as well though. So yeah, the main thing for me on the first date is just to enjoy myself. And if I like the girl, I think it's going, she's obviously not a virgin, then I'll just invite her back to my place. And sometimes I'll say, this is a little technique you can do. You say, oh, come get a drink. We'll get a drink at mine. I'll order you an Uber from mine in a bit. Just really casual. And then there you go. She's in your place. She's having a drink. There you go. Plausible deniability for her. But my main point there is don't do supplicating, permission-seeking behavior, really ever with women. Even if they moan about it, as you date them and stuff like that. Like I date girls and they moan about me, but the girls who moan about me are the ones who fuck me, yeah, and who become obsessed with me. The girls who don't, they're not in my life. Yeah, they drift off. So that kind of tells you something, or it never happens. In fact, so yeah, watch what they actually respond to and not what they say. Anything else? Oh, my alarm is going here. 1 second, boys. Yeah, that would be by far the number one thing to avoid, supplicating behavior. Also, nervousness as well. Nervous, twitchy behavior on first dates. We've all been there. I was on a dry spell in my early 20s for a few years, actually for a couple of years, no, about 18 months. And I was working a lot, and I'd like almost literally self-imposed autism for like nearly 2 years. So I was working so much, studying so much, and I came out about 23. I started to go out again, and the first, I was going in, hitting the clubs, and actually doing okay, just on whatever I knew at the time. But I just remember with the really hot girls, I remember getting on a date with this girl, smoking hot 19-year-old from Chesterfield Art College. And I was so nervous and over adrenalized that it just completely fucked up. Completely fucked up. I could feel myself on the date. I felt I had to prove myself. Maybe that's because I've been in this professional world, this academic world for like the last 2 years where you've got to talk all the time, you've got to constantly prove yourself. And I was applying that in my date. You want to prove yourself in the world, but then when you're with women on dates, you kind of sit back. The proof is there. Proof of concept is there. In retrospect, I could have easily pulled that girl. She's probably to this day like top 10 girls I've been on a date with. She was fucking incredible. I wonder if she might have been a model or something, to be honest. I don't wonder what she went on to do. Crazy thought now. It should be 36, 37 now. I probably wouldn't date her. It's a crazy thought, but yeah, at the time, she was just like incredible. I saw there was some friends who came in and they were like, I was like, yeah, I'm just waiting for a date. And then I don't know what they were expecting, and they saw her, they were like, oh, fucking hell. But I was just way too nervous and I was way too hyper. So you do not want to be hyper on these dates. You want to sit back and relax. Okay, sit back and relax. Yeah. That's a turn off for women. Hyper, you know, childlike behavior. It's not good. So let's calm it down. Let's calm it down. Just chill. When you're around the girls in general, you want to chill. Because if you're too hyper and nervous, it shows in a way you're easily flustered on a kind of environmental level, on a biological level. You don't want to be the guy that's flustered. Okay. You're the rock. Yeah, you're the rock. You don't want to be the guy that's flustered. And sometimes dumb guys can do quite well with dating because they don't have anything in their head anyways. They're just blankly staring at the girl, you know. And the girls, they kind of like that because they're actually the neurotic ones. So, yeah, having a guy who's like also neurotic is not good. It's out of balance for them. They want a guy who's calm. Oh god. So yeah, thank you for one outsider. Thank you for my SB. Thank you for my what's it called? Moderator. You're my moderator. So yeah, so that'd be another one. Just maintaining your calm on the date. So if you just do those two things, you're not supplicating to the girl, and you maintain your calm. On its own is probably enough for her to like you. If she's already on the date, that's enough for her to like you. Other things you can actually actively do to turn the girl on. Things you can actively do to turn the girl on. If you kiss the girl, you do want to escalate physically as well. So don't just kiss her, also like put your hand on her leg, move your hand up her leg and stuff like that. This is if you're kissing her. Actually, that's when I do it. Because it's kind of like I kiss her first and then I go to that. And that tends to work quite well. Because the kiss is like the first point of contact. You can have physical contact as well before that, but that's like an escalation where even if they won't admit it at the time, their pussy will get wet with that. If you're kissing them and then you're stroking their leg at the same time, their pussy will just on autopilot react to that. We are biologically programmed in a sense. Women are as well. So maybe one thing just to remember, guys, is women have a biological program running in them to be inseminated. Yeah, their pussy has to get wet and they get turned on. Yeah, it's not like a difficult thing. It's automatic. They're programmed for that to happen. If they weren't, there would be no human species. Obviously, they're not giving that away. They're conditioned as well. But often girls will tell you afterwards how turned on they were when you kissed them and you like stroke their leg. I've had that comment enough times. It's like, okay, that's a good move. It's a good escalation move. Yeah, if you obviously want to get them in a suitable place as well. So that's just physical. That's just some basic physical escalation. Obviously hot points will be the neck. I would go in for the neck as well. If you're out in a public place, I'd say neck and leg is about as far as I would personally go. That's just me. I'm a prude. I'm not really looking to get a public indecency charge when I'm traveling around the world. That's not the reputation I'm looking for. But going for the neck next, this is definitely like a sensitive point, and they'll get heavily turned on by that as well. So kiss, stroke the leg, and then move on to the neck, and then they're turned on, and then maybe you just say to them, I'm gonna take you back to my place. And most likely they go, good idea. Um, so yeah, just very, very simple escalation. Keep it very simple in terms of turning the girl on. I don't know if there's some of the sexual stuff I'll just briefly mention. Female submission, male dominance is probably the main turn on for most women. Again, this goes against equality, but it's just a sexual turn on. It's a simple fact. Female submission, male dominance. It's the only time women really get to feel the unleashed power of man. The unleashed danger of man is when they're actually fucking them. So we will always be necessary in that sense. They can't even girls who like to be single say to me, they're just like, yeah, you just can't get by without men. You can't do it. So that unleashed physicality, female submission, male dominance is predominantly the way to go. It is collaborative as well, obviously, but that's also predominantly the way to go, especially over a long timeline. Sometimes the first shag, people kind of fumbling their way through that a little bit. But along the long timeline, move towards the dom role, put her in the fem role. She will fall for you if you do that. She'll fall very hard for you if you do that. Not enough guys are doing that. Books, reviews, books for you guys to read if you're watching my channel. Books that I've read that helped me understand just psychologically what's going on in the girl's head. Number one would be 50 Shades of Grey, if you can stomach the really bad prose, because the woman can't write to save her life. But basically, it's the biggest selling book of the last 20 years, and only women read it. So think about that. And the whole thing is about a dom sub relationship between like a 30-year-old man and a 21-year-old woman. She's his sub. He's like this attractive guy, and he just does all the standard stuff, whips her and all this type of stuff. So there's a lot of raunchy, filthy sexual stuff in there. Okay, this is what women actually want. But the psychological aspect is important. The physical aspect is one thing, but the psychological aspect is very important. It's very important. So things like spanking, things like pulling the girl's hair, put her on all fours, spank her, pull her hair, and then start to give some verbals to it as well. I don't know how much I don't want to go into it all on this live. Maybe when I get enough traction, I get enough follows, that will give me the luxury of being able to do perhaps a paid podcast, maybe a weekly underground podcast, just low cost, like 5-10 quid a week, where I can actually go into more detail and depth on the more depraved stuff. I don't want to go into it all on YouTube, but yeah, I've just giving you some basic tips there. Another book you could look at as well is Iceberg Slim Pimp, which is about written by a pimp in the 1970s, who again, when you understand, like, this is the psychology, submissive psychology. This is one man who has a harem of women who not only he has sexual access to him, they go out and have sex and then come back and give him money from that. They don't even need to. They don't they could do it on their own, but they do it for him. So the psychology, the submissive psychology, that like they're shagging other guys in order to get his approval, and they're giving him money to get his approval. That's very important psychology. So like his sex, when he sexes them, that's their reward for her good behavior. So it's just an interesting book to read. Obviously, some of the stuff in there is like, first of all, it's obviously illegal. Like, obviously, being a street pimp is illegal, but the fact is such a common phenomenon, and it was, I think, you can't ignore that. You can't be open to the truth and ignore that as a facet of female sexuality. So that would be a book I would definitely read. It's a really good book as well. It's an incredible book. Iceberg Slim is a fucking amazing writer. It's hard to get hold some of his books, but he's an amazing writer. Like, it's worth reading just as a literary artifact. It's fucking incredible. So read that. Again, that will move you. If you're a nice guy, permission seeking, that will start to give you an insight maybe just move you in a direction. You read enough of this stuff, it will just automatically start to move you in that direction. Um, My Secret Garden is one the guys in my group read and recommend. I think I've read about 7 or 8 chapters of it. I've not finished it, but that's a great book because it just gives you all the wild, kinky fantasies that women have that they confess to. It was written by a woman and she just collated the fantasies of different women. It's called My Secret Garden. So definitely, I mean, that stuff is like wildly crazy shit as well. That's when you realize like the shit that women hide is you think your fantasies are bad. Your fantasy is like a threesome, right, with like Swedish twins or something. Their fantasies are completely fucked. Their fantasies are like, just like getting violated by a werewolf and then pegging a guy with an octopus or something. Like it's just completely insane, weird shit. Um, yeah, like there's I'm not going to go into it on the live, but there's all sorts of crazy stuff in that book. And again, it just reminds you, you're dealing with a freak here. Women are the great pretenders. They're the ultimate fakers. They're the ultimate fakers, and they do it so naturally as well. They do it so naturally as well. Everything they do on Instagram, everything they do on, what's it, the WhatsApp thing, WhatsApp updates, it's all just fake up and make up and just posing. That's their game. Their game is to try to be a constantly alluring flower and to try to convince the world that like this is what they really are. When underneath there's just all of this 50 Shades of Grey, My Secret Garden, pimp kind of psychology going on underneath. So you just have to ignore that. It's almost like that, all the looks and everything, that's just like a stick that they're waving in front of you. You have to kind of look past it a little bit. Although that's what draws you in, you do have to look past it as well. That's probably that's another thing. There's a little secret inside it too. You look past that beauty. You acknowledge it. You kind of look past it. And, yeah, I get it. Nice costume. Yeah. That's a kind of that's an attitude that can penetrate into a woman's psychology. And then yeah, so that's the more bedroom related stuff. Is there anything else there? I won't go any further than that. We are on YouTube. This is a family platform, so I won't go any further than that on the purely sexual stuff. Anything else you can turn around with? Yeah, the next thing as well, I would say with messages as well, with messages. This is probably an area that I'm strong at. I think I'm stronger than, certainly much stronger than I was. I think it's an area guys maybe don't see as an opportunity. Sexting the girl. Sexting the girl. You can whip the girl into a frenzy of sexuality just from messages quite easily. And it's just the simple stuff, you start off with what you're wearing, and then she's kind of like, she knows where that question's leading. Then you lead her into something sexual. You lead her into what underwear have you got on. You lead her into something sexual. And you start painting a picture of what you'd like to do to her. Bring in some of that 50 Shades of Grey stuff. And Bob's your uncle. So apologies for that, boys. I'm in the Dominican Republic with these little power flashes. But yeah, sexting, as I said there, just get the 50 Shades of Grey stuff going on. And you want to do that after you've been out with a girl and pulled her, maybe had sex with her. Because I travel a lot, I meet girls in different countries, and sometimes I might have a first date or with them, but then I can't go any further because, basically just because I'm moving to a different country. And this is actually where the sexting comes in. You can actually you can be doing it to say multiple girls on the same night. You can be batch farming your sexual, your 50 Shades of Grey storytelling. That's definitely something I would advocate. And guys are underexploiting that. That is an area that's underexploited. Is sexting. A lot of it with women is mental. A lot of it is mental with women. The way they're structured to look for power and influence and domination and all the subtle intricacies. And this is why I have such a complete disdain. I have a true hatred for these looks-maxing freaks. Most of them are virgins. Most of them I know, like, they just came out into the street or into a club, they would have no chance of doing anything because they're just too socially passive. and they just fundamentally don't get it. They're spiritual trannies, spiritual transsexuals. That's what the Lux Maxing Spurgs are. Yeah, obviously you want to look as good as you can. Yeah, this is what I recommend to guys. I say work on your style. Yeah, have a really great style. Work on your look physically. Get yourself in the gym. All of that stuff. But there is a point at which you go, okay, now I'm done. Now I'm done. I look good. Now I'm done. Yeah. You do not need to go fucking getting jaw surgery and stuff like this. But it's more the mentality than anything else. It's the mentality that I wish to attack and destroy, because it's promoting passivity in men. It's promoting being a passive little peacock, you know, with your feathers, you know, preening your feathers, instead of actually promoting what works, which is going over and penetrating the girl's reality, eye fucking her in your approach, and just dragging her out like a fucking pirate into your world. The more you drag her into your world, so few guys do this. I understand why guys just don't do it, because they've never had an example. They've seen so few examples of this. Maybe I was lucky when I was younger, because I'd see a few guys and I'd be like, look at what he's doing. I wonder if I tried something the same, it might work. And I've seen it enough times that even fucking ugly guys it works for, dude. It really fucking does. I think daytime approach, you want to be presentable, but even ugly guys can get away with this shit. And I'm talking guys who are like a 3 or 4 out of 10, can honestly pull like 8s. You would not believe what I've seen in clubs, dude. You wouldn't fucking believe it. If they just take the lead, they just take the lead. So yeah, this is why I have a disdain for those content producers, because they're kids. They're all fucking kids. I can see it in their eyes. I can see half of them are virgins. You can see it especially there's something you can see in the guy's eyes when you just know he's not got any experience. He's not seen anything, and he's giving young guys the wrong impression of what works. Action is what works. The psychology is what works. Yeah, there's a story I've told before on this channel of a guy I used to know who was a male model, and I actually used him as a male model in one of my old businesses. We did a photo shoot for something. I invited him to do it. He looked fucking amazing. He looked absolutely amazing. And I remember meeting his girlfriend out in a bar, and they'd separated, so she would have been his ex-girlfriend then. I said, "Oh, are you still with person X?" And she said no. And she kind of leaned into me and she said, "You know, with him, he looks great." He goes, "He looks great, but he's not bang bang." Which is, I don't think she was meaning he's shit in bed. I don't think she actually meant that. He wouldn't have been, I don't think. I think what she meant was, he's not exciting. He's too much of a nice guy. At the time, I think the guy was working as an apprentice in his dad's firm, so he's kind of under the thumb a little bit in his own life. He wasn't a fully grown man, really, even though he was in his early 20s. And she ended up with a much uglier French guy who was like 40. A few years later, they had a child and stuff, and he was just like a rugged, hairy Frenchman, and that's about it, you know. And she wasn't that hot either. She was, on a physical level, she was probably a 7.7. I'm going to say that. She was like hot enough for you to notice her, but I would say that guy was notably too hot for her, the guy who she's going out with. And she was like, yeah, he's not bang bang. So there you go. And for the good looking guys, I've said this to one of my friends, I won't say his name, but for very good looking guys who've got that, just like where they just look like a model, basically. Guys like that, they've actually got it worse, believe it or not. They've actually got it worse when they start dating. And you think, oh yeah, the looks maxing, no, it's easy for them. Yes, potentially it's a little bit less resistance on the front end. If you're incredibly striking, you're top 0.1% striking, on the front end, things will be a little bit easier. Sure, absolutely. You still have to do the same stuff. You still have to take the action. You still have to go after it. But here's the thing, on the back end, if you don't act like the fucking man, they will hate you. They will fucking hate you. They'll hate you and they'll leave you. They'll cheat on you and they'll leave you. That's good looking guys have got it harder in that respect, because the girl is like, why don't you just act like you fucking look, you fucking pussy? That is what's going through the girl's emotional hindbrain. Even if she probably won't say that, but that is literally what's going through her. That's what's going through her brain. And yeah, those guys they don't get off scot-free just because they've got modelish looks. Yeah, they really don't. They've got to be really on point with their relationship game. Yeah. So yeah, no one gets off. You've all got to, learn the trade, learn your iceberg slim, learn your 50 Shades of Grey, and don't make obvious mistakes such as supplicating behavior, permission-seeking behavior, doing like very weird stuff as well. Being weird on dates as well. Just like, sometimes I've done it where you did something a bit weird and you're like, was I just nervous? I think it comes out of nerves. Just doing weird stuff, or saying something that's a little bit weird to try to provoke too much of a reaction. It's just too try hard and weird. Don't do that either. That's not good either. You want to be calm, relaxed, chill, and playfully teasing the girl. Don't take her too seriously. And then every so often, with your compliments, if you are on a date with a girl, you want it to be a little bit unpredictable. Just like halfway through the date or something, just say something like, whatever it is, or just, whatever the compliment is. Your eyes are fucking so hot. Whatever it is, I don't know, that's a shit compliment, but whatever it is you want to say in the moment. Being unpredictable is also good as well. Such a bit of a dopamine spike that is for the girl. It's like gambling. It's like, you can be talking about one thing and then halfway through just be like, your tits are fucking amazing. Whatever it is you want to say to them, and then you just carry on. Let it hit and then carry on. That's another thing you can do as well. Give them a little dopamine spike. We're all dopamine addicted. Boys, I've got to run. I've got work starting in about 3 minutes. I need to get out of this wife beater and chain and into a shirt. SB, good to see you, mate. I'll be doing these lives up until the 31st. I'm doing a live a day. Come what may, rain or shine, we'll be doing a live every single day. Take it easy, boys. Peace and love. See you in the next one.